Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out People of Reddit. Story 1. 0-second timer. I feel bad about this one. I am technologically apt, and some of my colleagues are not. I wind up as an unofficial liaison between our official IT group and my office because I speak IT but with a level of diplomacy that puts my office at ease. We recently had to add two-factor logins to pretty much everything we do for our work. I was able to explain what that meant to my co-workers and to talk them through downloading the necessary phone app and establishing an authenticated link between the app and the work network. One nice feature with the software was that you could set up a ticket expiration time of up to 15 minutes of network idleness before it asked you to authenticate again. So long as you were working online, it would maintain your connection. I did this for everyone except for the one person who was the office know-it-all and the biggest pain in the doojoos about the whole process. They got a 0-second delay. Send an email? Authentication required. Refresh email? Authentication required. Load a web page on the secure network? Upload a file to the shared web drive? Try to edit a shared spreadsheet? Authentication required x4. Every single time they wanted network access. When they finally blew up at IT about how awful the system was, I went to their desk and asked them, well, why did you set it for 0 seconds? I reset it to 2 minutes. Story 2. Try to give me revenge cookies. Jokes on you, I'm into that shit. The reason this person wanted to get revenge on me was super dumb and would take too much time to fully explain, so I'll try to summarize it as quickly as possible. To make a really convoluted story short, my friends and I were all in our young 20s, my ADHD/possibly autistic ass was way worse at picking up on social cues than I am now, and these two friends of mine had an unrequited love thing going on. The object of affection was a good friend of mine, knew about the other person's feelings, but was too much of a people pleaser to ask her to stop hitting on her. The person who liked her was just unbelievably petty and dumb in that way that only overdramatic 20-somethings can be, and was jealous of my friendship with her crush, even though I'm very openly gay and clearly had no interest in her. That didn't stop her from wanting to get revenge, so she baked chocolate chili cookies and gave them to me as a present, saying that she just felt like doing something nice. Me, loving spicy food, which she didn't know, was super happy with this and gladly ate them all. It wasn't until a day or so later that my friend told me that they were actually supposed to be revenge cookies, and the creepy stalker was silently fuming the entire time I was obliviously scarfing down her delicious and spicy revenge. I still have a taste for spicy cookies to this day. Story 3. So you like to throw stones at passing cyclists? Prepare for the fright of your young life. Reposting this here because I wrongly posted it in /pro revenge and it got removed. This happened around 2010. I was cycling around Haringey, Green Lanes where I lived at the time. The area is gentrified now, but at the time it was considered to be a bit rough by London standards. Those familiar with the area know that there are narrow alleyways that connect up all the side roads, off of Green Lanes. So I'm cycling past one of these alleyways and see a group of rowdy kids messing around inside the alley. There are 4 of them, aged maybe 11 to 12 and making a lot of noise, as kids do. As I pass them, they go all quiet. Sensing that something is up, I shoot them a look over my shoulder and catch one of them throwing a stone at me, which bounces off my back. This is followed by an explosion of laughter and jeering. Now, I remember being a kid, and the lengths that kids go to entertain their friends. To be honest, I wasn't even that mad. But in that moment I decide to make this a teachable moment for the little bastard, and to make sure that he will never forget me. So I pretend to lose my mind. I toss my bike to the road, turn and sprint at them full speed, to quickly cover the 10 to 15 meters between us. At the same time, I scream in a pretend rage and wind my arm back, like I'm about to deliver a WWE haymaker and end a young life or two. They barely have time to register what's going on. 3 of them scatter like cockroaches, but the one who threw the stone freezes in his tracks. He kind of just collapses against a wall with his arms outstretched, babbling and begging for mercy. I put my face right next to his and whisper, "I'm only joking, kid." The kid blinks for a second, and then promptly starts to wail loudly, like he's carrying the burden of the world on his little shoulders. I walked away feeling like I had done the world a small service. What are your thoughts? Was this justified, or too much? Story 4. My rude neighbors. So I'm going to try and write this as short as possible. My neighbors are awful. Their kids are awful. I've talked to them many times to try and make them understand how rude they are, but it doesn't work. The kids will bang on my walls, keep me and my kids up, or make my picture frames fall off the wall. I swear the kids don't sleep because they'll still be banging my on walls at 4 a.m. I've asked them many times to stop, but they don't. If I know I'm going to do work in my house and I might be loud, I give them the common courtesy and tell them what to expect. I'm a very chill person and I don't like complaining, and I don't like confrontation at all. It takes a lot to make me mad. This has been going on for 6 years now. I'm tired of it. So, what I have been doing is setting them up for visits and calls from Jehovah's Witnesses. Or sign them up for spam calls, etc. I also tap in their speaker and play spooky sounds and music. I know it's immature, but it has brought me joy. They finally get to feel some kind of inconvenience as I feel when they do SHT to me. They aren't as bad as they were when they moved in. I have 2 kids. They aren't even that loud. Note, we have noise ordinance laws in town from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So they ignore that and make noises all day and night. Story 5. Sold a defective game, so I had him meet me at a restaurant I wasn't at. Years back, I bought a few GameCube games and a console from a random guy on a marketplace app. The majority of the value in this transaction was in the game Super Smash Bros. Melee, as it's usually around $50 to $80 depending on condition. Unfortunately, that's the one thing that didn't work as specified. The disc crashed constantly. It could start, but there was no playing it more than 10 minutes before it errored out, and it definitely could not save to memory cards. The item had screenshots of the game in its functional state but failed to mention this. I reach out to the guy. He gives me a few troubleshooting options: clean the disk, console, etc. After trying everything, including plenty of other disks in the console, I'm sure a scratch is the culprit. I message him and begin to ask about altering the deal, maybe returning items, and I'm blocked. And for some reason, Let Go, when it existed, didn't let you report someone who had blocked you. You also couldn't leave feedback if you were blocked or had no history with a seller, so even with a new account, I couldn't report or review him. Instead, with my new account, I negotiated another deal for some games he was selling. Asked where he preferred to meet and he recommended a local restaurant. From that point on, I wasted as much of his time as I could. I told him I was at the restaurant getting some food, and that I had seen his car pull in. I implored him to come in and have cheese sticks with me, and I would buy him a beer. He is repeatedly telling me to come outside and I'm telling him I have to finish my meal. At points he is suspicious and asks if I'm the guy who he sold Melee to. I throw him off guard playing stupid and asking what he's talking about. Finally, I convince him to come in the restaurant and sit with me to exchange cash for the deal. He says he's looking but can't find me. As I give non-specific directions, I'm in the booth by the bathroom. He realizes I'm not there. I was never there. I feel deranged but satisfied. Story 6. My stepmother gets her just desserts after my father passed. My stepmother married my dad 10 years ago when I was 35. From the start she was awful. She would listen in on every phone call. We didn't find that out for years. She made sure he didn't see his grandkids anymore, just hers. He wasn't allowed to see us either. Plans were made by him and cancelled by her. The worst part is when he was very sick with cancer, she refused point blank to keep us updated on his health. She told us in a group text that we were too mean to her, so we didn't get the information. How were we mean? We didn't send her cards and flowers on Mother's Day. Sometimes he would call me cause she forgot to take his phone away from him after he was so ill and couldn't get out of bed to retrieve it. She didn't even tell us he passed for 3 days after. She wanted to make sure we couldn't make the funeral so she could talk badly about us. She wrote the obituary and spelled all his bio family's names wrong and listed all her kids and grandkids as bonus children and left out information like his parents' and siblings' names. She was a horrible person. I knew that there was an insurance policy for me and my siblings to split. It wasn't even that big, but she was so mad that we got anything at all that she refused to give us the policy paperwork or give us his social security number so we could look it up ourselves. She claimed we would just use it to open credit cards even though the government and credit agencies had his death certificate. She told us we didn't deserve anything at all and she was mad that he didn't leave the policy to her kids instead. So, having her phone number, address and email, I signed her up for everything. MLMs, religious calls, window and roof replacements, things like AliExpress offer emails, vacation entries that just sell your name to everyone. My daughter even helped me find new things to sign her up to so we could ramp up the spam. I heard that she was forced to change her phone number because it was so bad. Serves her right, I regret nothing. Oh, there was in fact a policy and we did get it thanks to my mother keeping some old tax returns. I made sure to send my stepmother a screenshot of the policy payout. Story 7. 2 drunk guys relieved themselves on my Hispanic mom's car. Yeah. For anyone with an even average typical mother, that sentence is terrifying. I was about 11, and my mother and I were in a Dollar General. We don't usually go to Dollar General, and in hindsight, my mom was probably already stressed from budgeting. She never made a peep about money troubles and I love her for that. Anyway, as I'm drooling out of my stupid 11-year-old mouth looking at all the garbage plastic toys in the back of the store, my mom notices 2 very disheveled drunk men in the store, and makes a comment to herself the effect of "WTF?" I think absolutely nothing of it, and when we finish our shopping it is about 8:30 p.m. and is dark outside. Tell me why when we get outside these guys just so happen to choose my mom's little red van to piss on? Why? Any alcoholics on Reddit have any insight into that decision? LMAO. We approach the van and these guys have streams of pee-pee crashing against my mom's car tire like they are Goku using the Kamehameha. I doubt I even need to describe what happened next, but yet. Instant screaming. My mom had her little dinky phone out screaming that she will call 911, and these guys were so drunk they didn't even respond. They just walked away and seemed to not notice her shredding her vocal cords insulting them. I was horrified. They both got on these very pathetic-looking scooters and tooted their ways off into the distance. My mom yanks my ass into the van with demons in her eyes, and all I could do is scream, "Mom, don't!" She cranks her little van into maximum overdrive in the direction of these bums on their scooters, terrifying me even further, and using her magical eagle vision and Hispanic mother intuition, she found them. They had parked their scooters next to some vending machines on the outside of a Kroger. She peels into the parking lot and skrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr vending machine getting a soda, and she was the sole outside witness to the atrocity that took place next. My mother grabbed the scooters, and swung them like King Kong fighting a T-Rex. After she was done swinging and slamming them, she jumped on top of them and began stomping them while the woman at the vending machine and I stared on in horror. She got back into the van, and we went home with our Dollar General groceries. The best part is that 2 weeks later, we spotted them both sharing a scooter. Guess one didn't work anymore. Edit. Apparently I actually have to clarify that I mentioned that my mom is Hispanic because of the ever-popular Hispanic mom meme. Somehow that was brought to question. Wasn't claiming we were the victim of a racial hate crime. LOL. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.